My saying is, fasting is fun and fills you with faith. My husband, no way, would agree. But I tell you, years ago when I began to fast, my life changed, blessings came, my children got healed, they got out of rebellion. I tell you, fasting and prayer, Jesus did it, why shouldn't we?
Welcome to the Prophetic Spiritual Warfare Podcast with host Kathy DeGraw.
I love to fast, friends. I love it. I think it's so cleansing. It connects us with Jesus. It increases our faith. There's so much power in it. But I know that it's not a popular subject among Christians. I remember we were in a traditional denominational church for years, and we did never hear of fasting. And then we came to a spirit-filled church, and they talked about fasting a little bit. But it wasn't until the 21-day fasting at the beginning of the year movement really began to permeate the church and the Christian community and call people to fast. I remember the first 21-day fast that I was on. And no, I didn't do water all 21 days. I did liquids. But I tell you, that day 13 and 14, I was a crank bucket. Like, seriously, my best friend did it, my executive director, my husband, and we were all just like, on day 13 and 14. I describe it like getting on a treadmill. You know, I used to run a lot, and you get on that treadmill and you start running, but you hit that edge where it's like, I just want to quit. I just want to give up. I don't want to go on anymore. But if you can get past mile marker or minute 13 or 14, and then you go to 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, it's easy. And that's the same thing with fasting. You got to get past that hurdle. And as you get past that hurdle, it becomes easy. But God has personally called me to live a fasted lifestyle. And I know I've gone through different times and seasons where that looks differently. But I tell you, I've grown so much. And I love that intimate time. I love that time with the Lord. I used to lock myself up in a cabin for 2 to 3 days and just, get alone with the Lord several times a year. And I miss those times. I don't have that luxury as busy as I am now, but I miss those times and just in getting the Lord's attention to be the forefront of my mind all over again. And so I just want to encourage you, if you've never fasted, to try to start, guys. It is so much fun. And you'll feel cleansed, you'll feel healthy. It's very healing on your body. But when we look at Isaiah 53, Isaiah 53 is the atonement, okay? And Jesus purchased our healing. He purchased our deliverance. And what do we get out of that? We get that intimacy, that communion with Him, the healing and the deliverance. And we need that. And that's what we get when we fast. And He purchased it for us, but now we got to manifest it. And Isaiah 58 talks about fasting that pleases God. Yet they will seek me daily and delight to know my ways, okay? And so I want to encourage you to read Isaiah 58 and really look at this. There's results in this. The results of fasting is joy, happiness, that will be His witnesses, that we are in right standing with God, that we have the armor of God on. It's a protection when we go and petition the Lord, okay? We know what Psalm 91 says, he who dwells in the secret place, okay, shall abide, remain in the shadow of Adonai, okay? So we're protected when we're in that secret place. And I know some of you have struggled with mind battles, and I tell you guys, when we're in that prayer, when we're in that secret place, those mind battles are going to start going, and you're going to have the peace that surpasses all understanding. When we look at this, our fast should be Spirit-led. Is the Spirit leading us? What's He leading us to fast from? And even in here, they were fasting the words, okay, nor even speaking your own words. And I remember one time one of my assistants went on a fast of a word fast. And it's just like, okay, some of you need to stop gossiping and slandering and having to talk all the time and listen to the Lord. And it was a stretch for her. But I really believe in food fasts. I know some of you might want to fast social media or TV. And if the Lord's calling you to do that, go ahead. Okay, but let the Lord lead it. And in verse 5, it says, is it a fast that I have chosen? Okay, a day for a man to afflict his soul. We got to cast down this flesh. This flesh is unproductive and unfruitful. And so we got to cast that down. All right. It says in here, is this not the fast that I have chosen? In verse 6, okay, it says it again, to loose the bond of wickedness, of evil, to undo the heavy burdens, stress, who needs some deliverance from stress, to let the oppressed go free. We all need deliverance from those shackles and chains. And so that you break every yoke, bondage. Come on. This is deliverance. This is the result of fasting, of what we get. As we get in that secret place, as we seek the throne room of God, as we give him our worship, as we give him our adoration. I don't know, I'm getting excited right now. Maybe it's because I'm starting a fast tomorrow. I'm not even waiting until, the new year. I want to start getting in there now and just being like, Lord, change me, have your way with me. I want to worship you. I want to honor you. And so as you study out the scriptures, as you study out biblical fasting, we know Daniel fasted, and Isaiah 58 talks about fasting. We know Jesus fasted 40 days and 40 nights in the wilderness. And so fasting is very biblical. And guys, what it's going to do is it's going to increase your faith, okay, as you pray, as you seek God. And when you get that fasting headache, when you get that bad breath, all of that is your body detoxing. And so the more you get a headache and the more you get the bad breath and heart palpitations, that is all your body needs to detox, okay? And I'm going to be talking a lot about health this year, especially in January. And so I want to really encourage you to follow along the podcast and the YouTube. But don't be afraid of those symptoms. When you get those symptoms, that's when you go into prayer. And that's when you're like, I'm going to break this off me. I'm going to press in harder. I'm going to close that back door to the enemy, okay? That's when you don't be like, oh, I have a headache, I can't pray. No, that's when you pray, okay? You pray yourself away. And if you're missing a meal, if you have to sit with your family while they eat, go ahead. But otherwise, make sure you're going to prayer. Because if you're not, it's just a diet, okay? Why am I so passionate about fasting? One, it's biblical. It brings you closer to Jesus. I've seen my own transformation through it. I've seen healing. I've seen deliverance through it. But friends, my life was blessed when I started fasting. My daughter got out of rebellion. My children got healed. My daughter came back to the Lord. Literally one year I saw blessings. 361 days that year I journaled a blessing. Even if it was someone bringing socks for my food pantry, to give away to the poor, I still considered it was a blessing to me because it was something I didn't have to go out and buy. Even if someone just brought me a coffee or a dollar store gift, it's all blessings. But I saw major blessings. My life, my ministry, everything changed once I started to fast. And so I want to encourage you. You don't have to do a 21-day, but I want you to think about what could you do to just maybe skip a meal a day, maybe try intermittent fasting, or give up your favorite soda, give up refined sugar, something, and get into the presence of God and watch how Jesus is going to change you.
Thank you for listening to the Prophetic Spiritual Warfare Podcast. Receive additional teaching through Kathy's web church Sunday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube and Facebook, or through her Prophetic Spiritual Warfare book. I invite you to visit kathydegrawministries.org for books, mentoring, blogs, or to invite Kathy to speak at your event. Follow Kathy on Facebook, YouTube, or Instagram at Kathy DeGraw. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, rate, and review the show. This helps our show rise in the rankings and reach more people to bring forth deliverance.